What a fight. Now, I'm biased because, as I've said before, I'm a huge Max Holloway fan, and fights like this are one of the reasons why. Calvin Kattar is a great fighter, and this video will be a lot of praise for Max, but let's not overlook how good Calvin is and the fact that he beats almost anyone else at 145 right now. But what Max did to him tonight was masterful. So let's look at what happened. To start the fight, DC had a really good comment about Max being a momentum fighter, meaning once he gets the ball rolling, he never really stops. And once he finds the groove, he just stays in it for the rest of the fight. Well, Max got the ball rolling early and he was throwing tons of volume and long combinations. Remember, as we break this fight down, that Max Holloway doesn't spar in training camp anymore, and he hasn't for the last couple fights. And you'd think that a consequence of not sparring would be that his timing would be off, especially early on in the fight while he's still trying to get a rhythm. But Max doesn't have that problem. A problem that started early for Kattar was his movement. He moved back in a straight line every time Max pressured, and he didn't take any angles. Max was working the body with punches and spin kicks and knees all fight. And we've seen him go to the body before in fights, but this variety made it very difficult for Calvin to defend. You can tell Max is enjoying himself. He hops into the matrix for a quick second and then lands a flurry to end the round. Now, this is probably one of two main sequences that'll be shown over and over from this fight. Max sets this up with a shot to the body and eventually pushes Calvin to the cage and just unloads on him. Look at this elbow. End this one. End this one. Now, I didn't count them all, but he had to throw close to 100 punches through this whole sequence. And then when the next round starts, Max looks as fresh as the beginning of the fight. He just doesn't get tired. It's unreal. Calvin Kattar is wearing a ton of damage right now, and it's really slowing him down. He's basically throwing one punch at a time, and that's just not enough. In my opinion, the Kattar corner maybe should have been grabbing the towel at this point and stopping this fight, but I understand why they don't. They think their guy can still crack and finish Max, but there's just no chance. Max has never been dropped in a fight, let alone knocked out. And Calvin is wearing a ton of damage right now, and maybe enough should have been enough. But that's easy for me to say as a podcast host on YouTube that his corner should have stopped it. I think they should have, but the 1-1-2 landed all fight for Max because, like I said, Calvin was going back on a straight line. So Max would close the distance behind his jab and land a power shot with his right hand. Calvin's going back on a straight line, but in round 5, Max is still moving his head off the line after he lands. So when he hits Calvin, he's starting in one place and ending in a different place. You can always judge how brutal a fight is by my wife's reaction. My wife Amanda loves to watch fights with me, and she'll watch almost every card. And there's a few times when it gets too much for her and she just doesn't want to watch anymore. And it's just too brutal. And this is one of those times. Another time was when Joanna Jędrzejczyk was beating up Carla Esparza really, really, really bad. So that's the level of where this fight was, for my wife at least. Max is having fun. He starts talking to DC mid-fight. So in the pre-fight build-up, Calvin had said that he was the senior in boxing and Max was a freshman. So Max starts yelling at the commentary table mid-fight that he's no freshman. He's looking at the commentators, landing a shot, and then moving his head to avoid punches without looking at the punches. This is that other moment I talked about that you'll see over and over from this fight. This is unreal. So after all that, Calvin survives to the end of the fight. Unsurprisingly, Max is the winner after landing 445 significant strikes. which is a huge amount of damage to inflict. So, where do we go next? Well, it's been confirmed that Brian Ortega will challenge Volkanovski for the featherweight title on March 27th. So, Max will have to wait on that at least. But he has said that he's willing to step in next weekend if something happens to either Conor McGregor or Dustin Poirier and that main event falls through. And he's throwing his hat into the Khabib sweepstakes if Volkanovski beats Ortega and is not interested in a trilogy fight with Max. Of all those options, I think the most likely is that Max fights the winner of Volk Ortega, no matter who it is. As for Kattar, I still think that he's a great fighter. He was very humble in defeat tonight, and I think anyone else in the world would have fared the same way against Max Holloway. I don't think Kattar falls too far in the rankings. He might even stay inside the top 10, but I don't think it'll be long before he's back towards the top. He's a really, really, really good fighter. Max is just on another level from, I think, everybody else. Before we go, how about one more time just for fun? Boy, is that pretty. Thank you so much for watching this. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. We have a ton of content coming this week in preparation for the Conor vs. Poirier rematch next week. So stay tuned. I'll see you all next time. Thanks again for watching.